Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Thursday, July 18th, 2024. Hope you are doing well today. This week has been treating you awesome. Gotten some things done, tied up some loose ends, preparing yourself for the full moon Capricorn on the 21st. Now is a good time to begin to prepare your hearts, your mind, your spirit, your body, your home, whatever it is that you do. Govern yourself even now, because the full moon is actually early on the 21st, which means that I'll probably do my full moon message, if not tomorrow, not likely, definitely Saturday. So, yeah. So now is a good time to start to prepare the things that you might want to release, to be intentional about releasing. Usually not so much manifesting happens during a full moon, other than protection, peace, grounding, understanding, acceptance, things like that, because a lot of times in full moon energy, there are some changes that are either being prepared to occur or that are, could quite suddenly occur, depending on the potency of a full moon. So you don't really want to do too much creating per se, starting anything new or pushing ahead on anything to some next level or new or expanded fruition. It's usually a time of reflection and regeneration so that you can kind of take inventory over what you've created since the full moon, maybe make some adjustments or rest because you've been so busy and so focused, so active usually, and also to just release any extra energy that you may have accumulated during that workup. Sometimes, the universe, God, source, makes no mistakes in how it builds in a time for rest and a time for action, according to what it knows we need and what sometimes we don't even realize that we need. So in any event, this is going to be the second full moon in Capricorn since last month. It's said to be pretty potent. And to that point, I did preview an addition to the summer sale with the 1111 questions, personalized prayers, and I posted and shared verbally in a couple videos ago an example of prayers and prose that I compose. Bars, I didn't mean to do that, but so there it is. How appropriate. And I spoke about the power of prayer and what it ultimately has done, not in detail about what it's afforded me and the empowerment it's afforded me in my life and protection and advancement and so on and so forth, but as a bit of an offering of a service that I feel quite gifted in. I added that to the summer soul sale so that if there's something specific, particular unique that you're manifesting, calling in, or even intentional to release, that you could share that with me via email in the description box below. Tell me a little bit, not, the whole life story, but give me some color around what your intentions may be, and allow me to pray with you. And by that, I mean to compose a prayer in a poetic form that you can use ultimately as affirmation to affirm empower your manifestations. You could use it as an encouragement or empowerment of whatever it is that you're already in order for or intentional about, empowered with your own personal prayers. You could use it in any spiritual practices you may do, say writing it on a candle that you burn in a high frequency. Everything I do is in the highest frequency of light and love. Even when it's protection work for me, it's still always with light and love and empowerment in mind, never for the purposes of attack, per se. But a lot of times defense is a supreme offense to adverse energies, and once upon a time I didn't really know that I had the power and the authority to not just call in certain things to fruition, but also even to defend my own spiritual and physical being with just my words, even as referenced in the Bible itself with the Psalms. That's another powerful tool of word affirmation, whether it be, David was pretty raw, so some of the things he wrote were actually quite offensive to his enemies, but was sanctioned. So perhaps, even myself, admittedly, I'm still getting comfortable in my authority to speak power to truth, as I like to say it, as opposed to truth to power, and what exactly that means, what parameters there are or are not around that. So, to take a great example such as David, who wasn't afraid to call out, judgment exactly as he saw fit to have it, he also was clear to give praise and reverence to the source, to God, and his words of all, for the liberty and of even that right, and of course for all of the many ways that he was physically and spiritually blessed. So, you can never underestimate the power of words. And I probably have taken for granted, even within my own self, because I've always been a prayer warrior. Always. I've been groomed to be that even before I necessarily knew, even before my language was purified, and still is being more purified, to know how to pray. And because sometimes even in the ways that we've been groomed or conditioned, we can almost speak curses to the very situation that we're praying light into if we're not careful. But nonetheless, I know that there's power in prayer. I've been taught that since I've learned how to talk. And I'm growing more and more, evolving, I would even say more and more, to know exactly how, I'm a Sagittarius, a skilled archer. So to know exactly how to formulate my words to hit that target, whatever that target may be. And I've recognized that just as I took that for granted within myself, I also take for granted that others may not first necessarily connect with that power as they possess it themselves, and could perhaps use some support to enhance what it is they're already capable of, or perhaps where they may be deficient, meaning where it is that you may not know what to say or how to pray. You just know what you're feeling, know what you're desiring, know what you are intentional for. It would be my pleasure to support in that service. It will be a beautiful, energetic exchange, as a matter of fact, where I feel like my gifts are being put into practice in a way that's truly useful. And I know the more good that is expelled into the world and out into the universe, honestly, the better it is for me and for all, So there's something in it for me too, for sure. But I'm certainly happy to serve. So all that being said, of which I did not mean to say right now, if you're interested in a personalized prayer, email me at the link, at the address in the description box below. Wait for a response, and we'll go from there. All right. So let's cut it one more time. Oh, hold on. What's that? Oh, Two of Swords. Crossroads moment. That's what I'm saying. Like, you not knowing what to say, not knowing what to pray, not knowing exactly what you want to be intentional for, maybe just knowing you want some change, at your service. And here's the Six of Pentacles. Equal give and take, community sharing, you help me, I help you type of energy. That once upon a time, at some point in time, we're all in this dynamic, one or the other, where we have something to offer and share, or where we need some support and some help. And whatever case that is, we're here to bridge that exchange one to another, especially when it means the advancement of creation overall. And in the highest vibration, that's what the Six of Pentacles is about. Equal exchange, equal give and take, and being well-intentioned to serve the community with the advantages that you may have to do so, particularly serving those that may be less fortunate or less advantaged in one way or another, and it ultimately coming right back around full circle when you need it most. So we got the Six of Pentacles. Ah, look at that, the Empress. I haven't seen her out. Have I seen the Empress in a while? I feel like I haven't. The Empress, the King of Swords. The King of Swords. Oh, the Chariot card. Oh. And here go the Queen of Swords. What's she on? And then the King of Cups. Well, the whole damn court is out here just about. Nah, not really, but that's a lot of court cards to start. And we just talked about community enhancement, maybe community advancement, of which the Empress is certainly devout to, a good Empress anyway. She would want to see the best for whomever she serves, in spirit and in truth, to take care like they're her children, whatever it is that she governs over, even if it's professionally or creatively. The Empress more or less treats everything like an offspring of her loins. Okay, so a beloved offspring at that, because, in some cases that could mean absolutely nothing considerably, but we're talking about a good mama here, perhaps. I suppose. But then we got the King of Swords here. And between he and the counterpart of the Queen of Swords is the Chariot. So that could be, there's some dissension between these two counterparts here. A disagreement or a dysfunction. Now the Chariot is about moving forward. It can also be a car. It could also be law enforcement or some type of security detail. A restraining order? Interesting. We'll see where that goes. Could be a restraint. Maybe that's the cause for the distance here, that there's a restraining order between, or a separation. But whatever it is, there's an enforcement of it with the Chariot card. So whether that's court ordered, where the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords were married, or at least committed at some point in time in some form or fashion. A lot of times with the sword energy, there's an implication that there's not a great deal of depth to the intimacy or the love, perhaps. That it could be an intellectual connection, or some connection with intention or purpose, like some type of purposeful arrangement. But in any case, there's a separation here that could be either enforced by law or enforced by, what else could it be? Well, it could be enforced by law, and neither one necessarily be the initiator of that, meaning it's something, I don't know why there would be like some type of order for there to be no contact or something like that. Or it could be one or the other. Or it could be something enforced in whatever separation is happening, or divorce at this point, because a lot of times the Queen of Swords, King of Swords, especially showing up in this regard, can be divorcees or on their way to that disconnection. Pardon me. But we got the King of Cups here, so there's someone of a loving nature that, let's see, with the Seven of Swords. And the Hangman, but something else is here, the High Priestess. So we got the King of Cups, who would be a compassionate leader, kind, gentle, generally speaking, loving, in a word. But what's the Seven of Swords? Somebody getting over on that energy, deceiving that energy. Hold on. To what? And now they're rejecting love here and just submitting to work. Yeah. All right, so this is about maybe someone being deceived in love. Hold up, because the way I'm about to line these up, this is interesting. So we got the King of Cups here, because this is taking another turn. The Seven of Swords under the Empress. The High Priestess under the King of Swords. I may not leave all these down, but I just want to see something real quick. The Hangman under the Chariot, and then the Four of Cups under the Queen of Swords. So I'm feeling like somebody may have been disadvantaged or deceived in their once upon a time when they were in a benevolent nature. Here with the Six of Pentacles and the King of Cups, when they either they had the heart to be in a benevolent nature, or that was the appearance. What I'm having a hard time deciding that is this King of Cups the Seven of Swords, or are these two different energies here, where someone may have been emotionally manipulative to in fact take advantage of imbalanced, take advantage of their advantages, of having a certain leverage or upper hand. And then the Seven of Swords is getting away with something, or at least attempting to, but it's also under the Empress, which is the mother energy. So I'm like, was someone deceived by their mother? Or hold on here. And then the High Priestess smack in the middle. So this Seven of Swords is running into some mystical energy, even mysterious, secretive. And then the outcome is the Hangman, where somebody's stuck and then rejected, or missing an opportunity, losing out in some way, shape, or form. All right, so the King of Cups, hold on, bear with me. For some reason, this is like pulling teeth right now. The King of Cups is let's just do it like this. You're not gonna give it to me that way? I'll take it. No, I'm gonna just clarify between each card. Let's see. Between the Six of Pentacles and the King of Cups, can I get some clarification, please? The Page of Pentacles. So yeah, this is more more like a submissive energy again, which gives way to what I'm saying about somebody maybe taking advantage of their leverage over others. This could even be a father with the King of Cups, or a baby father, or, you know, something along those lines. And let's pull. Wow. 9 of Swords. Who's sad? Or who's stressed out? Matter of fact, the 9 of Swords. Oh no, hold up. Because this is actually giving incarceration vibes now. So someone used their position, influence, and power to manipulate energies that they could take advantage of, and maybe even abuse, especially going into the 7 of Swords. There could be something even more sinister here. But the abuse was very covert, where someone, that's why it's like, so it's like pulling teeth, because someone may have maintained the persona of being, you know, a leader in the community, to be a helper, to even be loving and kind and caring, to the point where it's like, you know, at a glance, you would never believe that someone could be capable of any type of sinister act, certainly not against potentially a child, or the less fortunate, or vulnerable people, you know, unsuspecting targets. But there could be some evidence here running into this high priestess that's being revealed that shouldn't have, you know, for most intents and purposes, because of who someone projects themselves to be, or maybe even who they actually are in the public eye or in the community, you know, or as behind, you know, as a facade, more or less. But something here, there's either some despair, anxiety about, like paranoia almost here with the 9 of Swords, like someone's anxious about some future occurrence of either something being revealed or exposed, or just the sheer fact of someone losing their leverage and their control, where it must have benefited them to maintain it in some way, like it had value for someone to be able to hold a certain position of influence or dominance or leverage, that may be lost. Maybe the tables have even turned with the 6 of Pentacles, as I kind of spent a lot of time in that vein, where someone else may be in need or at a disadvantage, except karmically they haven't earned the, you know, the return effect of getting what they need in their moment of destitution, whatever that is. All right, let's go to the Empress and the Seven of Swords. So either somebody in that Seven of Swords is trying to escape the truth of this exposure, or what? What's going on here? Something mysterious here with the High Priestess staring me in the face. I need you to start talking, girl. This ain't the time to be keeping secrets. What's going on here? Three of Pentacles, some type of collaborative effort, collusion perhaps. Maybe people are talking. Go figure after what I just said. Maybe they're starting to be like gossip, or, you know, whisperings about speculation. What I'm not understanding is how and what has been exposed, though, because it's not giving a lot on that. It just seems like somebody has gone from being in a very stabilized position of their emotions with the King of Cups. Like, that's somebody that has a great poker face, seems to kind of have it all together, emotions in check, at least in the forefront, you know, because it's also Scorpio energy, where I've often said those emotions can run very deep to the point where you may never get to the bottom of what they're really feeling and thinking, but it's just what they project seems serene, non-threatening, you know, grounded, stable. But then if that's the case, then why is someone in the Nine of Swords in their private moments? What is someone stressed and anxious and worried about? There's some loss from the 6 to the 5. Oh, and then that's the 5 of Pentacles, the difference between those two. So yeah, there's definitely been a financial loss on account of perhaps someone taking a blow to their character, maybe based on these justice, based on the, like I said, these like whisperings about what's been going on behind the scenes, and how justice is kind of now completely overshadowed the King of Cups down there to the point where you can't even see him. It's like somebody may be overpowered by like karmic retribution. Because sometimes I see the 6 of Pentacles as like fake justice, right? Because he's holding the scales and he's appearing to be benevolent and honorable and all these other things. But then here's real justice, like the one that truly counts, you know, that has the greater impact. So it could really be, there could be some witness to whatever nefarious acts may have been committed, or that are now being called to order, you know, or called for question or investigation, or being prosecuted, maybe even just persecuted, whether it be in the public, you know, in the actual legal arena or just by public opinion, where people are beginning to judge and, you know, consider the innocence of someone, well, consider the guilt, I should say, of someone that has presented themselves to be innocent. And with the Page of Pentacles, sometimes that can be like looking at pictures and stuff, like it could even be like some people examining certain type of evidence. Maybe some pictures have begun to circulate. Some type of tangible evidence has descended from this Six of Pentacles that could be contradictory to that image, that has someone stressed about the release and exposure on account of what other people may see, but also on account of what they may have to answer to. And it seems like they could have like potentially have almost gotten away with it, or maybe for some time were able to get away with this. But the Justice card smack in the middle here is saying that somebody's having to answer for something. Now, what does the Empress have to do with that, though? Because that's like was the matriarch. I really see the Empress as a positive figure. This could even have been something that, I mean, we must be talking about a long ass time of somebody getting away with something, if that's the case, then, where someone has grown up from a child and now is bearing witness to what they've incurred personally. What they've incurred personally. In some way, they're exemplifying something that's contrary to the perpetrator's persona. And maybe now they're in the Empress stage where, you know, this, I mean, you don't even have to be old, but it could be just someone that is in a position now to have their own family, their own kids, their own kingdom, so to speak, to govern, or their own household to tend to. And that's how much time perhaps has passed to the point where that would be the reason why someone wouldn't even consider that after all this time anything could be traced back to them, or anything could, you know, could reflect poorly on them as anything, you know, that there couldn't be any other reflection except for the loving father or loving partner, even, because it might not necessarily just be about a father, but about a partner, a lover, an object of affection, an emblem, you know, of affection, for all intents and purposes to the public. Interesting. What's on the bottom? Two of Cups. Yeah, this could be even a partner coming to terms with who they've actually been committed to all this time. Seeing that person in a new light. Because sometimes, every now and again, I zero in on how, to me, it often looks like the guy is almost reaching for the feminine's cup, but not really extending his. given that, you know, more of a taker vibe than an even exchange, but presenting himself with the cup, presenting a cup nonetheless. So that gives way again to this persona of benevolence and compassion and care, and someone that's on the same page with you and that's available for intimacy, but really is not extending his cup. He's actually just more or less taking what is being offered. So I don't know, take that as you will, but let's keep going because I'm losing steam here. King of Swords and the High Priestess. This might be a little longer. I've been staying pretty close to, ooh, here's that exposure. I've been staying pretty close to an hour lately, which I like, less than sometimes. But this might go a bit over. All right, so we got the sun now here. Here's that exposure with the High Priestess and the King of Swords. Maybe that's the reason for the divorce. Oh, okay, hold on now. Or the separation, and for the enforcement order, the legal enforcement may be on account of some actual legal matter that's impending of a criminal nature, not just a matter of divorce and separation. And maybe that's the odds that some people may be at with, like, considering spousal privilege and like what to do with that. Yeah, so this could be that, where it could be what I said, because here's another child here, right, in the sun card. So it could very well be what I said about someone having grown up. You know, now it's like what someone has gotten away with for years, or at a earlier season in life at least, now is kind of catching up, which is happening a lot. You know, that's happening a lot, where people are finally being called to judgment and justice over things that they thought were swept under the rug 10 times over and would never see the light of day. But lo and behold, the sun don't miss nothing, right? So it could be that, but it could also speak to like two people that were together at, again, another season in time, maybe even younger, have grown distant to some degree. But the advancement here is now the Empress, the feminine energy, maybe perhaps has evolved a bit more. So they've grown apart, but there's an evolution with the Empress here that's advanced just a tad bit more than, say, even what the King of Cups may be, because the Empress is all the queens. The King of Cups is the King of Cups, you know? So that could be the energy translation here as to why there's so many court cards. It's different, maybe projection of different times, and also even the spirit of that they may be in a present moment of separation, if that's what I'm reading, where it's not the love is, there's kind of a love lost here now, but it could be on account of what's being uncovered and discovered, what's being brought to light, what's being called to order, what's being rectified as some type of injustice, and maybe perhaps what someone just didn't know of who they were in commitment with. Wow, and here's the Wheel of Fortune. There's the karmic retribution right there. It don't miss. That wheel turns slow, but eventually Like they say, what, clock is right at least 2 times a day. At some point, it's going to be right on target for what you deserve based on what you've been dishing out. And it just seems like it's just time for someone to answer for their transgressions and their choices. Because it's mainly because it's time to move on, it's time to evolve, just naturally speaking. And that can only be done in the spirit of truth. You can't finesse your way through evolution of a universal order. Everything has to be rebalanced in order for that to happen productively and appropriately. So if you have a heavy heart, even though you could have a hell of a poker face, but you got a heavy heart and mind, and maybe just like a dark spirit on account of what you've incurred, or well, of what you have incited, really, maybe both or either one, now would certainly be the time. As a matter of fact, definitely both, because even for those that may be perpetrating a fraud, there is an origin of that infliction. And for those that may, more or less be innocent on that receiving end, there's still something to answer for, to be reformed or revived as well. So either way you look at it, we all have something to evolve in light of, or despite, I should say. So how that gets to be done, how you allow yourself to move with the flow of that process, is kind of up to you, but the process is the process no matter what. Like if your divine design says that, is like it reads the recommendation in the spirit, or the not the recommendation, but like it's like reading your energy signature, maybe based on what you should be slated to be or to be on track to become, and then reviews the progress in the process beforehand, and then makes readjustments and realignments as necessary. So it's like, if you done created hella crimes, you may be slated to do big things in the world, yet you still get to answer for the imbalances that you are responsible for, before you can then be advanced back into, by your own will for all of this, but before you can be advanced back on the track of your destiny, and all of it might be a part of your destiny for all you know, but it's how we struggle against that will turning incessantly, by the matter of our choices, that determines how fast or slow we arrive, or if at all, So some people choose to get there, to take the scenic route, or to learn the hard way, the lessons that we incur and on that path. And some, learn a couple lessons, take a couple bumps and bruises, and surrender, or at least submit to however the universe is shaping and molding them to reach that ultimate design, to fulfill that ultimate design and reach that supreme destination, whatever it is, uniquely for whomever it is. So so it's like, even with all of the exposures and the bombshells and things that are kind of blowing up all around, it's just rebalancing the natural order, so that ultimately a realignment can occur for everyone, individually and collectively. but it's like you can't go forward with unfinished business. Look at that. Whew. Excuse me. I was trying not to sneeze too loud because I know my son will be like, bless you. Two of Pentacles here is exactly that, like managing an imbalance, managing some scarcity, but definitely managing or juggling nonetheless. So even with the least to, or I should say the most to be desired, you know, or perhaps the least to be resourced, there's still that expectation to manage it properly. Time, energy, material, attention, whatever it is, there is a responsibility attached to it. I'm hearing that's non-negotiable, but I was trying to think through, is that what I really, is that real? Like, is that, is that true? I suppose it is. It's like you have the choice and the free will. However, there's certain I don't know, that like there's certain things that would be non-negotiable as a counter to the will of universal order. Maybe that's what I'm hearing, the non-negotiable. And that's ultimately the thing that compels realignment. It's like, yes, you always have the right to choose, you have the right to say no, you have the right to turn around, you have a right to, you know, but there are certain things that you don't have the right to. You have the right to do it, but you also will answer for it, you know, that being the non-negotiables. So you can do whatever you want, but there are certain things that will always attract a certain response universally or energetically that will have to be realigned before anything else is possible. And some of those things perhaps look like the energies of which I'm picking up over here, you know, like infringing on someone else's freedom or menacing against someone's well-being. Certainly, one of the greatest sins in the Bible is about obstructing the growth of a child, you know, like impairing the maturity of a child in a diabolical way or in a detrimental way. Like, you're going to pay for that. Even if you have a reference point for why you're just, you know, recycling past experiences, you still, as it is here, you know, maybe somebody does, of course, most likely, we all would that would be the obvious, right? That a lot of times that people become violators or become abusers is on account of what they've incurred. And it's like, no, you maybe shouldn't necessarily have, it's not your fault that you may have been, you may have incurred that experience, but it is your will and your choice as to how you recycle it. You know, like that's kind of, again, that non-negotiable transfer of energy where it's like, yeah, I understand you've been hurt. That doesn't give you a license to hurt. And if you decide to, then that's how the karma, which is sucks, because a lot of the imposition of these karmic cycles have had absolutely nothing to do with those that have perpetuated it, but yet and still, again, you still have the responsibility to change the cycle. It sucks, but it's just the facts of life. So you can either be a woe is me and say, well, it was done to me, or like kind of be the victim of your circumstances, or you can transmute that energy into something more vital, which happens as well, thankfully, or we'd have a really messed up world here where nobody was healed and we're all hurting each other constantly, which, contrary to what it may seem to be, it's not really all that, or there would be no hope in the world for anything vital to exist or to be preserved. It'd be all destroyed and desecrated by now. Only takes, hell, I would say 1 or 2 strong, brave individuals to be insistent on healing, which is why it's probably taken such a long time for creation to kind of find its way out of this cycle of corruption, because it's no easy feat to see your way out of hurt and harm and despair and being victimized, to somehow turn that energy around, not be vindictive, not be vengeful, not perpetuate that cycle on to some other unsuspecting, innocent human being. To stop it, to make sure that it stops with you, is not easy, but it is possible. Yeah, here's that childhood energy again, that tainted cup of love that oftentimes has to be transmuted with very little resources to do so, very little support or knowledge, and you would have to wait for it, to move forward. You would have to wait for enlightenment of a spiritual nature to have the facility of purifying that energy, of which you just received on account of whomever you were assigned to be in connection to, and in some cases in the care of. So yeah, I don't know, this could literally be like testimony of some childhood energy, or testimony from childhood of some, I don't know. Let me see what's on the bottom. With the 8 of Pentacles. Work. Something about work. Maybe somebody was just living their life, business as usual, working day to day, and, like I said, not having the expectation for anything to resurface of this nature. And it could also even be the response of those that have been victimized in some way, where you try to just kind of put your head down and focus on material things, you know, to kind of keep your mind off of your emotional vulnerability here with the Page of Cups. But ultimately that kind of keeps you in a standstill, at least emotionally. Because even if you shuffle all that energy into building wealth for yourself, this Page of Cups is still unresolved. It's not going to mature or grow or enhance or purify or be filtered any faster by ignoring it than it will by actually investing that work into self on the shadow of that energy to heal it, you know, to confront it, to nurture it. To almost be the empress to yourself, where that energy may not be available to you naturally. Like, what do they say? Like, reparent yourself. Yeah, with the Strength card. To build new strength, but not the strength that's just good at suppressing and backburning and stuffing emotions down, but the strength that is courageous enough to face it for what it is and to deal with whatever comes with ultimately healing from it. You know, if it means therapy, or if it means confronting your violator, or just accepting the truth. Sometimes that's a large part of it. And also even forgiving yourself from, you know, absolving yourself from guilt that is unjustified. You know, all the process, as I said, of healing that somehow we're still held accountable and responsible for, whether or not we feel we have the support or resources. And we always do. That's the thing. In the spirit, we have more than enough with the Wheel of Fortune. You know, as long as you are committed to and devoted to your supreme identity, the spirit will send everything that you need if you're open enough to perceive it as support. You know, it may not necessarily be from where you think it should come from, or who you think it should be, but it will always be some supplement, some sustenance there to help you along your path when you're intentional about taking that road. But it may not come on account of those that, you know, kind of want to suppress it and keep their head down and, you know, keep a distance from the reality of it. It may not come as quickly or as evidently to those that are not intentionally in the market for enlightenment. And a lot of times, those that have been hurt the most are the ones that ultimately find their way to that path of enlightenment on account of just wanting to find an answer better than what they've had, you know, or some explanation for all they've incurred, and then they find all that they were looking for and then so much more, you know, the sun and the fortune, ultimately leading to supreme strength here. I don't know what we even talking about for real. All right, the Queen of Swords and the Four of Cups. Wow. Queen of Wands. There's that courage and strength though, right there. Let's see what's on the bottom. And there's the rest, the peace and the rejuvenation, the healing, the recovery. Interesting. So this could have been, there's so many ways this story could go, because I haven't forgotten about the counterparts, perhaps in separation or divorce or whatever, and maybe someone was in denial with this Four of Cups at one point in time about what was, until they couldn't be anymore, and it did surge this that like almost forge this process of healing and evolving that someone may or may not have even been intentional. You know, like I said, they wasn't looking for that level of healing and evolution, but here it is. And it feels like, you know, someone's an even more evolved person, woman, and it could be masculine, whatever, but at least woman, if we're talking about this energy here, like there's something even more pronounced with the Queen of Wands in the way of courage and self-sufficiency and fearlessness. That even if it is the Emperor, someone that may have embodied all of the queens, there's something that someone's been given the edge over now on account of what's been revealed and ultimately what someone's had to face. I don't know. I don't know. It seems so specific though. Like for how I start. I don't know. I'm look at the bottom. World card. Yeah, there it is. And then Ten of Swords. And then what's that? Ooh. Oh my goodness. And it's funny because when I was looking at the Four of Swords, I was like, And I was looking at the Nine of Swords, and then my eye went to the Four. It's like something didn't feel great about it. I know how I spoke of it for the purposes of rejuvenation and healing and all that, but this could also be that like almost death and rebirth process, like I said, that somebody wasn't necessarily seeking out, but they submitted themselves to, and that can always have a pretty good ending. Again, if you're going with the flow of the process, you know, being in submission to it, not, you know, aggressive against it. But the World card here, the Ten of something's over. Like, I mean, really, this is like three endings in one. This is the World card, which is the end of a cycle. The Ten of Swords, which is the end of some unfortunate affair, whether it be betrayal, sabotage, or just something with great casualty and cost, perhaps to someone's life even, because now we got the Death card. Let me just see, what's that heading into? More conflict. So I can't even necessarily say like definitely transformation. It's like somebody may be starting a new cycle without someone, and it's so much more harsh though. We're going back to this relationship piece. It's so much more harsh than just simply a divorce, because it's someone finding out that who they thought they were married to was not that. Not at all whoever they portrayed themselves to be. Or at least they had a great deal of very dark secrets. That's the High Priestess energy. So it's more than just like, okay, they say when you get divorced, it's like, you know, the death or mourning of a relationship. It's more than that, because this is like, at least in that case, you have the hope of maybe being friends at some point down the road, or being cordial or whatever, or it just being like water under the bridge, a time and season in your life that was for a reason, come and gone, and now you're okay moving on. This is a little bit more of a challenge because it's literally coming to terms with a lie in your life that's been perpetuated for a very long time. And it's like a cycle is started. Where something is ending is also starting over, having to be accepting, well, not having to, but getting to being accepting of like a death of someone. I hope not an actual death. You know, it's pretty clear here, but I'm keeping it figurative because it may be that someone is just literally having to like mourn a life as they knew it, and accept a reality of something completely fresh and new that is perhaps extremely foreign to them. You know, that's a great shock of a transition, to find out that most of the life behind you was a lie, and now what you're moving into, like to carry, hopefully, you know, here's the point of release, right? Particularly in this Capricorn moon, which is probably more so what this is about on a grander scheme for all of us collectively than it even is specifically, you know, a couple or abuse or whatever. Generally, we're all having to come to terms with life as we've known it being quite corrupted and full of illusions and all, you know, on and on and on. And the charge here is allowing yourself to move into this new space, this new world, with a fresh identity, accepting all that you get to lay to rest, literally, of your old life, maybe even your old you, not rejecting it, you know, certainly not persecuting it, but also not carrying it over into what is fresh. You know, it's hard. I don't think I'm saying that well, but it's a great deal of a challenge, and you would need to be equipped a certain way to kind of move through that portal unscathed, or at least as unscathed as possible, because the detriment could be still mourning, you know, being lost in the grief of what has been lost, or what's been revealed to be expired, let's say, and not finding a way to come to an acceptance of that reality. And so therefore, that being the baggage that kind of holds you back from claiming this new one, of which you really don't have a choice, because as I said, we're all moving forward in some capacity or another. It's like no child left behind at this point. So really, like I said, there are non-negotiables, but the choice is up to your free will as to what you'll be submissive to releasing in order to receive the best of what's to come, or in some ways what already is. The projection of it in the most hopeful expression is here with the Empress, even with the Queen of Wands, and certainly with the Sun and the Wheel of Fortune. Like, that's just double down on positivity here. Bliss, favor, fortune, all that good stuff. Yet and still, there are some things that don't carry over into that space that would be understandable that one would want to carry over naturally, innately. But again, it's just non-negotiable. So the difference here, the disparity truly between the have and the have-nots of this new world order of bliss will be how that charge is handled individually. Ooh. Yeah. Because trauma and toxicity cannot turn over in the new world, and you also have access to bliss and favor and fortune too. This is the non-negotiable. So there at least needs to be an intention on what, like an active intention on releasing this before you can inhabit anything better, And that's the tough thing, because look at this. Oh shoot! And now the Eight of Swords. I didn't even mean to do that, but the Eight of Swords. Yeah, it's. Here's a non-negotiable again. Wow, it makes sense that it would be something challenging to manage. This great charge of truly leaving what is no longer serving behind and believing for all that you truly desire to have ahead of you. It's no small feat, but it's imperative. Because you can either have all this and this, or you can have this and this. It's not both. I'm gonna leave this here. I feel like I could say more. I feel like I should say more, but incense been burnt out, and I don't want to burn the message out. So I hope that you have gained something from it, even though it felt a little bit all over the place. I think what it culminates into, as I said, is something far more universal than it is even personal, even though personally it could relate, or generally even, to these stories of exposure and things breaking apart and others things being revealed, whatever, all of that. But I think what it comes down to is not the concept of trauma or drama or whatever brand of toxicity you may have been managing in your life by choice or by intrusion. It all comes down to what of it you'll intentionally leave behind, and what of the opposite you're willing to allow yourself to receive in totality. Yeah. And you know what? So, I know, but Capricorn, I've said this too about this Capricorn. Well, really, actually, I said it about a Saturn being retro. But of course, it's a Capricorn full moon, so I feel like that's probably kind of part of the intensity with those two transits in play, is that it's like bringing back into, it's like a review or refresh, more like a review of what you've already kind of learned by way of your life experiences, whether it's been the hard way, the long way, however it is. What's coming up now is like, all right, so now that you know what you know, you've had all the lessons, you've taken the courses, you've had some amazing teachers in every regard, good, bad, and indifferent. What say you now to the test and challenge and charge of matriculating onto the next level of spiritual maturity, of spiritual advancement? Of course, materialized in the physical form, but we're talking about the matter of the spirit here mostly, because human nature dictates one thing, even justifiably so, but the law of the spirit operates on a higher frequency. It has greater expectations, greater standards of fulfillment. So it's really like the contention, or like the I guess the confrontation, more or less, of which nature of your being you will submit to, relent to, or defer to at this point. Will it be the carnal and the physical exclusively, where you can be gratified in your unforgiveness and in your resistances and in your vengefulness and in your greed and in your scarcity, with immediate action oriented in response to those experiences and frequencies? Or will you have graduated into a higher elevated degree of divinity, ultimately, that lives above that fray, that is satisfied in spirit first and foremost, and everything else secondarily, if at all, where it may not be immediately gratifying to be in forgiveness, but it soothes the soul ultimately, where it may not be immediately gratifying to not be vengeful, or to be rageful against where you feel you've incurred an injustice, maybe even been victimized. But it keeps the spirit light and free, and so on and so forth. So I feel like all of that to say, like, even with the worst ideas of what could occur to you, that could occur unbeknownst to your knowledge, to your awareness, that could have happened under your nose and you thought it was one thing and it was something completely different. When it all comes down to it, it really doesn't matter anything more than what it's contributed to your growth and evolution at this present moment. And that is up to your perception and conception alone. Nobody else can force feed you that truth, and nobody else can activate you to respond and react in that accordance. So there lies the ultimate power that only you possess and only you can initiate. So, good luck and God bless. Definitely not saying it's easy, but it is possible, and it is ultimately extremely satisfying. Extremely. So, thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.